Good time of day, guys. My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry, Ch.2 Watanagashi. Last episode, Keiichi, Shion, and Takano putzed around the storehouse during the festival, and spooky stuff. I get the feeling shit's gonna start getting real this episode. Honestly, it feels kind of long overdue, but yeah, I'm gonna go into spoiler time right now to talk more about, like, what I remember from the original anime for this arc. So, yeah, same thing as usual. If you don't want spoilers for that, then mute. And when I pull up the menu, then you can unmute. So, yeah, spoilers starting now. Okay, so, unlike with, Onikakushi, I don't remember, I didn't remember really most story beats in this chapter at all. So everything that's happened so far is stuff that I did not remember happening, except for the introduction of Shion. I didn't know it happened to Angel Mort, but I knew it happened at some point early on, so yeah. Other than that, all I really remember is that whichever twin actually has Hinamizawa syndrome, develops or already has Hinamizawa syndrome, and they either are Mion or it's Shion posing as Mion, and they kill, I believe, everybody except for Rena. I'm pretty sure they kill Satoko, they kill Rika, they kill Keiichi. I don't believe there's anybody else that they kill. Well, who else would there be to kill? Because Tomitake still dies, Takano, quote-unquote, goes missing, and no one else who's actually important to the story has been introduced yet, I believe. Well, there is that Kasai guy, but I'm not sure how prevalent he is to the story in general. So, yeah. Other than that, the only specific scene I remember is towards the very end where either Mion or Shion, whichever one has Hinamizawa syndrome, kills Keiichi at the hospital, I'm pretty sure. And a scene a little bit before that, I believe after Rika and Satoko are already dead, Rena and Keiichi go to the Sonozaki house to confront who they believe, at least, to be Mion. That's all I remember of what happens in this arc, so yeah, up to this point, I don't remember what the trigger is for, like, everything starting to go to shit. So, yeah, because, like, in Onikakushi, it's the scene with Rena's outburst, where Keiichi's like, you guys aren't hiding stuff from me, are you? And she's like, well, you are, you're lying, blah, 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 etc. I don't remember how that happens in this chapter. I don't remember how it happens in any other chapter, actually, so it's gonna be interesting to remember all that. I just more know generally. Like, beyond Onikakushi, I more know generally what happens in each of the arcs. I remember very little from this one. I remember some from Tatari Garoshi, which is just Keiichi killing Satoko's uncle. I think that's the only thing in particular I remember. I remember nothing from Himatsubushi. I've tried to, like, memorize the names of all the arcs so that I don't just say numbers. I believe the 5th arc's called Mayakashi. I remember a substantial amount from that one, more in how characters die rather than, like, what specifically happens. I'm pretty sure what happens in that arc is Rika commits suicide by stabbing herself with a knife. Shion tortures Satoko to death. I believe she tases Mion and throws her in a hole, I think. She stabs Keiichi at the hospital, or outside it, perhaps, and then, falls off the apartment building, that she lives in, so, yeah, then there's Rena. I don't know what she's doing that chapter, but, she doesn't die, I don't think. And then Sumihara Boshi. I don't think anyone of note dies in it. Maybe, well, I think Rika does. But I believe she gets killed by Takano in most arcs if she's not killed by the person who has Hinamizawa syndrome. In Onitamashi, that's yet to be seen, but as far as these arcs go, if she's not killed by the person who has Hinamizawa syndrome, she either commits suicide or is killed by Takano. So that's probably what happens in Sumi Horoboshi. I don't know what happens to Satoko, Mion, or Shion. I don't know if either Rena or Keiichi die, but I know that they at least survive until, like, the very, very end. If they die, it's at the very end, so, yeah. Then there's the two last arcs, which are just everyone versus Takano. I think in the 7th one, I forgot the name of it. Everyone dies, and in the 8th one, forgot the name of that one, too. Nobody dies. I don't even think Takano does, so... yeah, probably the only character who dies in that arc is Tomitake. So, yeah. That's all I remember. Welcome back, guys. Time to read. I let out a great big yawn. It was like morning had arrived just as I got to sleep. I hate it. Yeah, I hate when that happens. As Mom set up breakfast, she gave me a pained smile. My throat's still not being nice to me. What's the matter, Keiichi? What time did you go to sleep last night? Well, I wanted to go to sleep at midnight, but I had some trouble with that. You were probably all worked up from the festival. No, that's not it. Crunch, crunch. Why did you verbally say crunch, crunch? I don't know, for the joke. I crunched down hard on the pickled radish to hide my embarrassment. Is that all you eat? Just pickled veggies? After all that happened yesterday, and our discussion about the sound Shion heard, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what that's supposed to be. Let's just do spoiler time real quick, starting now. If you haven't muted yet, mute now, because I'm gonna say it in 3, 2, 1. I'm pretty sure it's because Tomitake and Shion both have Hinamizawa syndrome, so, yeah. I don't really remember what the symptoms of Hinamizawa syndrome are, other than you go crazy and you start seeing shit that's not real. I guess hearing shit too, so yeah. Welcome back. That banging noise, like a child far away, jumping up and down on a wooden floor. The story wouldn't get out of my head, so I had trouble sleeping. It was a long night, and I kept jumping at the slight sounds of faraway tree branches, which should have been either unhearable or too insignificant to notice. When I woke up to the morning sunlight and birds chirping, it made me feel pretty ashamed about it, but I felt far from refreshed this morning. Oh, hello.
Keiichi-kun! Good morning! Huh? Keiichi-kun, your eyes are all red. Why is that? Why?
Oh, hey. Good morning. I didn't get much sleep last night, so I'm sleep deprived today.
The festival yesterday was a lot of fun. Rena's excitement took a long time to go to sleep.
Wait. Okay.
So I took a long time to go to sleep, too. To sleep.
That's a very weirdly translated line. In Rena's case, her excitement seemed to still be wide awake.
They should have this kind of festival more often. So we can have lots of fun together again. Huh?
Yeah. Rena talking about the festival yesterday made me remember everything I had nearly forgotten from last night. Are you gonna flashback? I think we've seen enough of this scene. The inside of the ritual storehouse had been so utterly different from the relaxed, bright everyday life of Hinamizawa. All those stories that Takano-san told me too. The mysterious incidents that occurred on the day of the Watanagashi festival every year. The strange incidents where one person would die and one would disappear. The old stories of Hinamizawa flickering like a candle behind them. The numerous and horrifying traditions of Onigafuchi village. The villagers with demon blood in them. The terrible cannibalistic feasts. The poor sacrifices kidnapped from human villages. Victims of the Onikakushi. To quell the rage of Oyashiro-sama, the ritual involving living sacrifices. There were also many, many others. There were so many stories that just remembering them put me in a foul mood. Most of them weren't fiction either, they were true. We didn't need to fear them just because they were real though, since it all happened so long ago. Such a very long time ago.
Where's Mi-chan? She's late.
Huh? Before I realized it, we had arrived at the place where we'd usually meet with Mion. Probably because I was so lost in thought.
We agreed that if she isn't here by now, we can just go on ahead, right? Should we?
Mion being late wasn't too rare an occurrence, but today she was unusually late. A few of the ominous tales from the night before came back to life in my mind again. Who would die this year? And who would disappear? It couldn't have been... Mion?
What should we do, Keiichi-kun? If we don't get going, we'll be late.
She'll be here. She didn't call to tell us she'd be staying home today, right? Let's just wait 5 more minutes, okay? Rena looked at her watch and seemed a little worried, but then she nodded with a satisfied smile. My dumbass was about to ask if watches existed in the 80s. If we had to wait 5 minutes, we'd have to run as fast as we could to school or we'd be late. As soon as I thought that, we spotted Mion, running towards us, out of breath.
Mi-chan! You're late!
You waited? You should have just gone on ahead. Mion was breathing heavily, and her face was all red. Her house was right down this road, wasn't it? It wasn't far enough away for her to end up like this, was it? Suspicious, are we, Keiichi?
Mi-chan, are you not feeling well?
Huh? Now that she mentioned it. Rena pushed Mion's bangs away and put her hand to her forehead. Rena, your hand is pretty cold.
Mi-chan, you're a little bit warm.
It's no big deal. Give it half a day and I'll be fit as a fiddle. Are you really okay? You don't have to push yourself, you know? What's this? Kei-chan, are you worried about me? That's nice of you. That answer wasn't like Mion at all. She must have had it pretty bad.
I just think you shouldn't push yourself so hard. We can tell the teacher you had to take the day off.
I'm fine. I took some medicine. I think it's already working. Mion forced an energetic expression onto her face and flexed her biceps at us. Okay, now let's go. Don't overdo it, but of course, there's the time.
Huh? We need to run or we won't make it!
This morning sure is thrilling. Maybe it's just what I need to shake off this slowness. Let's run. Hey, wait, you're sick. Don't go overboard. Mion began to run vigorously anyway.
Mi-chan is older than us, right? She knows her own body better than anyone.
I don't think that's really a factor of like 17-year-olds, but whatever. I decided to leave it at that and assume she was fine. Great, then we should get going too. We began to run after Mion. The school looked the same as always. Did you think it would look different? The hours passed listlessly, and my lack of sleep took its toll. If there was a sport where people competed by sleeping, I'd be world champion right now. The trick to overcoming this sort of dangerous situation was to hold your pencil upside down. Okay, why you ask? So you don't draw strange patterns all over your notes while half asleep. Oh. If you're holding your pencil upside down, that wouldn't happen, would it? Bump, bump, bump. Bump, bump, bump. Something that felt like an eraser hit me in the head 6 times. Ow! How? What was that for, Satoko?
I haven't done a single thing!
Who else would play a prank on me like this? Oh, it was chalk, not an eraser. Huh? Oh, that makes sense. Behind me, like a female outlaw might hold razors, was the teacher's shadow, holding 3 pieces of chalk in each hand. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Jeez, you threw chalk at his head? Did you get lessons from Ushimaru? Maebara-kun, go and wash your face. Right, gladly. That alone was enough to wake me up, but I flew out into the hallway, as if shoved out by the pressure exuded by the teacher's sheer power. If I was going to wash my face anyway, then I would rather use the sinks out front rather than the ones in the dark restroom. Thinking that, I left the hallway and went to the entrance. The sunlight was strong. So strong you wouldn't think it was June. I turned the faucet, and with a lifeless bubbling noise, lukewarm water came pouring out. If I let it run for a few moments, would it get cold? I looked at it absent-mindedly for a little while. I knew you'd choose these things, Kei-chan. The ones out front just feel better, don't they? Mion? No cutting class now. I stuck my hands into the water to find it had gotten so cold that it seemed strange it had ever been warm. I scooped it up and splashed it against my face. Once I was done, I moved out of the way and Mion did the same. Mion, how's your cold doing? You're sleepy because of the medicine, not from lack of sleep, right? Actually, this is a secret, but after the festival yesterday, I got wrapped up in the party my relatives were having. And well, I had a bit. A bit. She made a gesture like she was tilting a cup into her mouth, which means she didn't have a cold or anything. Are you hungover? How old are you? Give me a break. I really don't feel well, you know. I suppose she'd be feeling lousy either way. Still, you treat colds and hangovers in completely different ways. I was worried over nothing. Man, I guess that's just like you, Mion. Mion scratched her head, a little embarrassed. She didn't seem to be feeling well, but now I knew it was a hangover, I didn't need to worry too much. It would go away with time, after all. Oh, but my head really is pounding, so... The teacher told me I should go home early. You cheater! So are you going home now, Mion? Now that I looked up again, Mion had her bag with her. She must have been on her way home. Yep, I feel bad about it, though. I'll get some rest at home like a good girl. I'm sorry I can't make it to the club. Would you take over as leader for today, Kei-chan? I don't know if that'll happen. We have that unspoken rule where we don't do the club unless everyone is there, don't we? We never did it when you had to go to your part-time job, did we? Mion laughed wryly, saying we didn't need to worry about her. No matter how much fun we have, though, I think that feeling guilty about friends who can't share in it is the sign of a really fantastic friendship. In that sense, the club Mion has created is a wonderful thing. As I thought about it, the moisture on my washed face dried up. I suppose we were talking too much. If I didn't get back to the classroom soon, I could get in trouble. Okay, later. I'm going back. Be careful on your way home. Don't wobble into a sewer or brook, got it? I left it at that, turned around, and started heading back to the classroom. Oh, one more thing, Kei-chan. Mion stopped me, and I turned my head to listen. What's up? This may sound weird, but don't think too hard about it. Well, that depends on what it is. Nope. Last night, near the end of the festival, did you see Tomitake-san or Takano-san anywhere? Ooh, sudden creepy factor. I suddenly tensed up. You know Tomitake-san and Takano-san, right? You remember, Kei-chan, when the four of you were talking during setup the day before? If I could, I wanted to forget about sneaking into the storehouse that night as soon as possible. So hearing the names of the people I was with at the time really got to me. Besides that, though, why was Mion asking me a question like that? I ended up staring at her, unable to answer immediately. Was she asking to see if I had seen them or not? Or was she asking the question knowing that I had? I couldn't tell. Well, maybe. I might have seen them around, I don't know. My vague response was clearly not to Mion's liking. What answer was she expecting from me? There was no way for me to know. I see. Then, one more question. On the same night, did you see Shion? My heart leapt into my throat again. The tiny needles buried underneath Mion's words pricked into me. Didn't you ask me that yesterday? I think I told you that I wasn't sure if I had or not. Did you? Oh, okay. As I was saying earlier this episode, in spoiler time actually, but it's not really spoilers now, I don't know when people start acting crazy, but here it is. I can't speak. Fuck. I guess I just thought I'd get a different answer if I asked you again. I suddenly noticed something in Mion's eyes. Or a lack of something. Something indescribable. Tomitake-san and Takano-san. Shion, too. She was asking me about them. There was no doubt about it. Last night, the four of us snuck into the ritual storehouse. She knew everything. Wonder why. So what? There's not really a curse anyway. That's right. Even Shion and Takano-san said yesterday during the festival that there was no curse. And that rather than a curse, it was the doing of the villagers. My blood curdled. Mion was, almost without a doubt, aware that we snuck into the storehouse. It was nothing strange. I screwed up bad flipping on the light switch last night. If Mion had been searching for me, it was simple to imagine that she had seen that momentary light and come to find out what was going on. Wasn't Tomitake standing guard, though? Like, did you really not see her? Why are you so intent on knowing if I did or not? It's not important. It's just that there are some people who are speaking poorly of Tomitake-san, Takano-san, Shion, and you, Kei-chan. I didn't really hear what they were saying, though. Unpleasant sweat dripped down my arms, and the sound of it hanging from my fingertips was so annoyingly loud. I don't believe that you were doing something bad. I just wanted to ask a bit about it, so I did. Sorry for making you uncomfortable, okay? I found myself unable to reply. My reaction must have made it obvious what the truth was, and yet I couldn't explain myself. Kei-chan, you weren't with Tomitake-san, Takano-san, or Shion, right? Yeah. I finally wrung out an answer between ragged breaths. Mion's expression softened a little. That's good. I'll have to tell them. You weren't involved in anything bad, Kei-chan. So, I'll make sure to tell everyone. Yeah, please do. Tell them I wasn't doing anything bad. To everyone. Make sure. Everyone. Everyone. Who is everyone? Okay, later. I'll be better tomorrow. Bye-bye. Alright. Wait, Mion! What do you mean by everyone? Just then, a freezing cold hand touched the back of my neck. Oh, hey! You're late, Mayabara-kun. How long does it take you to wash your face? It was the teacher. It was taking so long she came out to get me. I'm sorry. I was just speaking to Mion. I turned around, but Mion had crossed through the schoolyard without me realizing it and was now standing at the gate. Come back to your studies. Quickly now. The teacher was being insistent. We returned to the entrance. I looked back one more time, and Mion was nowhere in sight. Okay.
Keiichi, you haven't seemed well all day. It's clearly because he had far too much fun yesterday.
I don't want to be told that by the one who got lost. Your face was all red and you were nearly crying.
Satoko-chan was so cute last night. Huh?
My friends did their best to try and cheer me up, but it didn't lighten my mood. Was it far worse than I thought? Had I really done something that terrible last night? These thoughts remained with me for the rest of the day.
Bye, Keiichi-kun. I'll see you tomorrow.
By the time I realized it, I was in front of my own house.
Mi-chan had a cold, right? Could you have a cold too, Keiichi-kun? Could you?
Huh? I'm fine. I may look scrawny, but I've never missed school because of a cold.
Both you and Mi-chan didn't look so good today, though.
Thanks for worrying about me. I'm fine. Idiots don't catch colds, remember? Rena smiled, then waved to me and left. Phew. With my shoulders bobbing up and down from breathing heavily, I entered the house. As soon as I got back in, Mom called out to me. What? Keiichi? I'm sorry, but could you go to the library and return a few books for me? Huh? I don't feel like it! Your dad and I have to wait inside the house for a phone call right now, so we can't leave. I need to return them today. Could you please do it? Sheesh. Did it have to do with Dad's job? No point in arguing if they bring that up. I guess so, but I don't know where the library is. Oh, you don't? It's a little bit past Okinomiya Station. Just then the phone rang. My parents' faces immediately turned grim. Nope, I did not mean to right-click. Mom snatched up the receiver. Hello, Mayabara speaking. I'm sorry? Yes, he's right here. Then she thrust the receiver at my face. It's for you, Keiichi. Don't take too long, okay? I tried to ask who it was from, but asking the person on the phone directly would be faster. Hello? Oh.
Ah, this is Sonozaki. Oh, well, the younger one. Hello. Do you have time to talk right now?
It was Shion. The older sister had a hangover today, but the younger made no reference to it. Shion? I thought you'd be sweeping in today with a hangover, same as Mion.
What? Mion had a hangover? That's so like her.
She laughed warmly, but Mom glared at me, silently telling me to finish up. Whoops, sorry. My parents are waiting for an important call, so I can't talk for too long. What do you need?
There's something I wanted to talk about, but if we can't talk long, I guess that's that.
Yeah, wow, what was I trying to say there? She sounded a little disappointed. What would Shion want to talk to me about? Now I was interested. Then how about we meet in person? If you could show me where the library is too, that'd be great.
You mean the public library near the station? Yes, that's fine. I go past there on my way to work anyway.
Okay, then you know where I usually meet up with Mion. At that intersection where the small path from the Sonozaki house splits.
Okay-chan, did I not tell you? I don't live at the main house, I live in Okinomiya. If we could meet by the ticket machines at Okinomiya Station, that'd be great.
Main house? Living in Okinomiya? Now that you mentioned it, it's always seemed like the Sonozaki sisters weren't communicating. Did they live in different houses? Also, now that she mentioned it, Rena said she never met the younger sister, despite going over to play sometimes. Let's meet at the station then. I'll go there right away. Bye! I set the receiver down, and Mom immediately thrust a large pile of library books in my face. 6 volumes of long-form mystery novels. Mom had her own hobbies. Thank you, Keiichi. Be back by nightfall. Got it. Okay, I'm going. I supposed I'd change my clothes and grab my bike key. I climbed up the stairs to my bedroom. Shion had been waiting for me already, so meeting up with was a smooth process. Wow, Mion never keeps her appointments. I mean, honestly.
Making my sister the standard for everything will get you in trouble.
Hmm? Shion seemed a little unsteady, too. She was drinking with Mion last night, wasn't she? You didn't get any sleep last night either, did you? Don't try and hide it. You definitely went home from school early.
Ooh, too bad. I've been at home all day in the first place. I'm smarter than Mion after all.
Hey, I don't think you can call playing hooky smarter. Of course you can, because she just did.
You should finish your errand first. We don't have that much time. We're going to the library, right?
Yeah, thanks. My mom had to return some books by today. Is the library far?
No, it's really close by.
As she said that, we spotted the signboard for the library almost immediately. If it was this easy to find, then I guess I didn't need Shion to show me where it was after all. We rode around a bend and the building was right there. Shishibone Public Library. We lived in the country, so I hadn't expected too much, but it was pretty big. The first floor was actually a government office, so the library was only on the second floor, but it still looked large enough to fit a decent collection of books. I guess you'd hope so from a library. We passed through the automatic doors and were greeted by the cool breeze of an air curtain. The cicadas had been loud outside, but it was quiet inside the library. The air conditioning inside was keeping the temperature at an ideal level for the books, which had that mildewy smell unique to old paper. I guess every library is basically the same. If there was one difference, it was that people studying for tests weren't taking up all the seats. I was one of those people, but now that seemed like a distant memory. Hello, I have books I'd like to return. The librarian went through the process of checking them in and then returned my mom's library card. Shion was going around the bookshelves with a deeply interested look on her face, like she wasn't the type who went to libraries very often. Sorry for the wait. I'm all done.
Libraries sure are nice and cool, aren't they? I want to work in a library one day.
Don't know whether to call that boring or dependable. It's a pretty small dream compared to your sister. Mion would definitely want to be a hard-working employee for an international trading company or some other crazy job that involved her running all around the world. Compared to that, what Shion said is pretty heartwarming.
Well, we need to keep our differences dear to us. We're not copies. We're two different people, called Shion and Mion.
Twins have a lot to think about, huh? Still, it sounds like fun. I don't have any brothers, so there's just me and my parents at my house. It can get a little uncomfortable.
It's the same for me. I don't live with Mion after all.
Oh, right, she said something like that, didn't she? Why, though? Sisters living apart is unusual. We were getting tired of talking while we were walking. We ended up going to the lounge area, which was vacant, and continuing the conversation.
Yes, Mion lives at the main house, and I live in Okinomiya.
What do you mean by main house? You make it sound like you're nobility.
It's just the main house. The Sonozaki family's main house. Mion's the successor, so she lives with Nana, and apparently studies all sorts of things as preparation to be the head of the family.
Mion? The head of the family? Kinda fit her personality, but kinda didn't too.
Kei-chan, you just moved here, right? This will sound like I'm boasting, but we of the Sonozaki family are kind of personaged around here.
Huh? Seriously? The word personage didn't really match the extremely sociable air that Mion and Shion gave off. From what Shion explained, the Sonozaki family goes way back to the beginnings of Hinamizawa. After the war, they had a bunch of successful ventures and extended their influence to a wide area.
The Sonozaki house is the foundation under which the entire family cooperates. Though the current family head, Grandma, was the one who built it.
The entire family would provide backup to help one relative with a business venture. They were like a huge living company. This let them avoid tax-related problems and help relatives' ventures succeed, one after another, using large amounts of money.
If you ever go for a walk through Okinomiya, pay attention to the signboards and stuff. There's a ton of shops that are managed by members of the Sonozaki family.
Now that you mention it, that toy store looked like it was managed by relatives as well. Does that mean your relatives operate Angel Mort too? Even what few shops I was familiar with were involved with the Sonozaki family. It was definitely surprising.
The family is particularly strong in finance and real estate. Even a lot of members of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry either have the last name Sonozaki or are their relatives. There are Sonozakis in the City Council and the Prefectural Assembly too, since they have the Okinomiya area giving them strong electoral support.
Wait a minute. This is all escalating pretty quickly. Her relatives operate shops in downtown Okinomiya, and they're especially strong in finance and real estate? On top of that, a lot of those in the Chamber of Commerce and Industry are relatives, and there are even people elected to local offices. So then, the Sonozaki family, it's pretty famous in this area? Oh, hello, enter stage left. Yes, it's crazy. All of a sudden, a cigarette-smoking, overweight old man interrupted our conversation. Wait, I know this guy. Hello. Good afternoon. Are you on a date today? Ah, what I would give to be young again.
If you thought we were on a date, then why are you bothering us? Ooishi-san?
That was it. He was Ooishi-san, a police officer. I thought it was this person who came to my rescue when I got involved with those delinquents before. Now that I thought about it, Mion didn't seem to like him very much. No, I apologize. I heard a familiar voice, so I came over to see. I still don't think I have a very consistent voice for Ooishi right now, because he just shows up so erratically, you know? He's not very consistent with showing up. Ooishi-san laughed coarsely, not showing any sign of giving up. As Shion watched him do so, I didn't feel the same sense of malice from her as I had from Mion. Mayabara-san, right? You're one tough guy. Two-timing the Sonozaki sisters, are you? No, I'm not two-timing anyone. I turned around to look at Shion and plead for help, but she grinned and maintained her silence. Her gaze wandered. She looked at the clock.
I'm sorry, Kei-chan. I really need to get to my job.
Huh? Oh, did you? Wait, didn't Shion have something to talk about today? Now this weird man is here, though.
Yep, I'll see you later. Oh, I'll give you a call after I'm done. It'll be okay to call at night, right?
Yeah, probably okay.
Then I'll talk to you later tonight. Bye!
Shion left so fast she was practically running. Ooishi-san was waving at me with a grin. I felt like I'd been left here as bait so she could get away. Maybe she was lying about having to go to work. You're quite the big shot, being so close to the Sonozaki daughters. Maybe I should rethink how I talk to you, too. He laughs different in this arc, too, so it's really hard to keep a consistent voice for him. Ooishi-san put a coin into a vending machine as he said something a bit appalling. Is iced tea okay with you? Do you want milk in it? Huh? Oh, no, I'll put some in then, alright? Here you are. He handed me a cup of tea, filled to the brim with ice, as I looked on absent-mindedly. I don't think I'm obligated to have a guy like this buy me a drink, but he did get it for me, so I'll thank him. Was Ooishi-san just killing time? We didn't know each other well, but he still engaged me in conversation about all sorts of dumb things. When I thought back to how I talked with Shion, this seemed like a total disaster. Mayabara-san, how much do you know about Sonozaki-san? Other than what I heard just now, nothing. Until then, I hadn't known anything about either Mion or Shion other than the fact that they were interesting. I really did only just learn that she was the daughter of some prestigious family. The Sonozakis are a syndicate with this entire region under their thumb. Incidentally, her father is a high-ranked executive in a syndicate association that's well known even in the Kanto region. Did you know that? What? An executive? Have you ever seen where Shion-san lives? It's the very picture of a gang boss's house, protected by high walls, barbed wire fence, and security cameras. I thought she lived in an apartment building. If you have the chance, you should go and visit her. Or were you talking about Mion? No, you said Shion. She'd mentioned Mion being a successor, but to a crime syndicate? No. Not at all, not at all. A boring old syndicate isn't the only thing Mion Sonozaki-san will inherit. She's inheriting the Sonozaki family itself. I'll leave it to you to mull over exactly what that means. Ooishi-san had spoken lightly about all this from start to finish, but what he was saying wasn't light in the least. It was abrupt and unbelievable. If Mion-san wanted to, she could kill someone in the middle of the street and still cover it up. Not only would witnesses not show up, but she'd put pressure on the police, too. Mion would never kill someone. Nah, she wouldn't. I'm just speaking hypothetically. Your name, it was Ooishi-san, right? Yes, that's right. Then, Ooishi-san, whatever family Mion comes from, it doesn't change the fact that she's the best friend I could ever have, and I'm proud of that. I don't appreciate people speaking ill of her. I let my quiet anger show through in my gaze as I stared at him. Of course, I can never seem to tell what he's thinking, so I didn't know if it had any effect. Then let me be frank. But you're Ooishi, not Frank. If Mion-san was suspected of a handful of incidents, what would you think? Suspected? Incidents? You can't just say terrible stuff like that on a whim. Then it would be a misunderstanding, of course. Mion may say some dangerous things, but she's not the kind of person who would do something so awful. Mayabara-san, keep your voice down. We're in a library. Ooishi-san. Ooishi-san shushed me, but in a state of heightened excitement as I was, I wouldn't be calm so easily. Please, calm down. As I said before, the Sonozaki family holds a lot of power in this region, for better or worse. So if anything happens, they would immediately be suspect. I'd appreciate it if you understood that. Well, I know what Ooishi-san is trying to say. He's Ooishi-san for the rest of the fucking time, okay? Just because of that one typo, I'm never gonna let the person at either Manga Gamer or 7th Mod, whichever it was, who translated that line live this down. Combining it with what Shion told me before, the Sonozaki family is huge, and controls everything from Hinamizawa to Okinomiya. Mion, meanwhile, is its successor, who apparently holds strong influence over the entire family. Still, that's all? That's the only reason they're suspecting her? I'm just gonna call him Oshi. If characters still call him Ooishi, then that's fine, because I don't want to be annoying about it. I'm just doing my job here. Not to doubt Mion-san of anything, but to clear up suspicions surrounding her. Please think of it like that. He could talk a dog out of a meat truck. He was the definition of a shrewd, unfair adult. At this point, I began to think that it was no coincidence I'd met him.
Ooishi-san, do you need something from me?
Yes, I do. Keiichi Mayabara-san. He answered in an absent tone of voice.
Mion's being suspected of something and you came to hear from a friend of hers, me. Is that it?
No, that isn't it. I didn't come to talk to a friend of Mion Sonozaki-san. I came here to talk to Keiichi Mayabara-san. It would probably have bothered you had I visited your house.
To me? What do the police want with me? Having realized this faked coincidental meeting had me as its target, my mood immediately turned foul.
You don't need to be so tense. Calm down and just answer a few questions.
Am I being questioned?
Let's go to chat with the guy you happen to run into.
Ooishi-san freely suggested that I relax. That said, behind his eyes was a light, which I could only see sometimes, that was sharp as a hawk. If I tried in vain to run away, he might actually take me in and bring me to an interrogation room or something. That was an undoubtedly unpleasant thought.
You had a roaring good time at the Watanagashi festival last night, didn't you?
Don't beat around the bush, please. I can't do small talk right now.
Last night during the festival, did you see Jiro Tomitake-san and Mio Takano-san?
Gulp. I can plainly feel myself give a start.
Where did I put those pictures? Oh, here they are.
He opened a small notebook and removed 2 photographs. I didn't have to look. Well, who knows? I might have seen them around, I don't remember. I was asked the same question for the second time today. I gave the same answer for the second time too.
Your memories are blurry. You couldn't have possibly been drinking or anything.
Here too, I got the same answer as I had from Mion. I realized he wasn't taking my vague reply well. Why is he asking me the same thing Mion did? The dark feelings I had nearly forgotten due to my conversation with Shion came rushing back in a hurry. We snuck into the sacred ritual storehouse, a punishable act. It was on a tiny impulse. While it may not count for much now, I do feel sorry about it.
I'll ask you again. Did you see Jiro Tomitake-san and Mio Takano-san at the festival last night?
His tone was soft, but there was a dreadfulness in his voice, clearly different from the first time he asked. I'm scared. That was exactly how I felt. Even if you repeat the question, my answer won't change. I don't really remember. There wasn't any better answer I could give him. I didn't have the balls to say I didn't see them, nor the courage to admit I had.
I see. I just thought that maybe I'd get a different answer if I asked the second time.
I'm too scared to look Ooishi-san in the eyes.
I'll change the question. Come, Mayabara-san. Relax.
Ooishi-san grabbed my shoulders and squeezed them as if trying to give me a massage. It mostly just hurt, though. Still, why would he ask the same things as Mion? If he's asking the same things, then the next question must be...
On the same night of the festival, did you see Shion Sonozaki-san?
Clatter, clatter, clatter. I wondered what that sound was, and when I looked down, I saw that it was the unmelted ice in the cup I was gripping in my hands. My hands were trembling, rocking the ice back and forth. Realizing that, I hastily put the remaining ice in my mouth and crunched down on it. Great fucking impulse anxiety control, Keiichi. Sorry, I just like ice.
That's fair.
I may have seen her, but, well, you know, she looks just like Mion. Might have just mistaken the two.
But they were wearing different clothes. Nah, but that can't be.
Ooh, a fucking inquisitive look. Suddenly, Ooishi-san grabbed both my shoulders and hunched down to give me a level stare. This must be what it's like to be a deer in the headlights. I want to look away, but I can't. This is the first time I've experienced such a piercing stare.
Mion-san and Shion-san wear completely different clothing. You wouldn't mistake the two so easily, I would think. Mayabara-san.
His voice was harsh. Harsh, the same as when Mion said it. I could feel my heartbeat quickening. When I realized he could feel it through the hands on my shoulders, I got even more scared. Why? Why are Mion and Ooishi-san
both asking about last night. Was sneaking into that storehouse so bad? I shouldn't have let Takano-san talk me into it. Tomitake-san casually said to check it out, too. So, even Shion, if she hadn't encouraged me. No, I understood. I was the one most at fault here. I shouldn't have let my curiosity get the better of me. I shouldn't have gone into the forbidden storehouse. I need to chew more ice! Oh, it's you. What voice did I give you? Ooishi-san. I think that's our cue to get out of here. A young man wearing a suit came into the lounge. From the way he held himself, I knew immediately that he was Ooishi-san's subordinate. Oh, so it is. Closing time already? I hadn't realized it until he said something. The jingle and announcement telling patrons the library had closed had started playing without me realizing it. I was so irritated, so overwhelmed, that I couldn't even hear it. I put more ice in my mouth and started crunching. Well then, Mayabara-kun. We're out of time, so allow me to take my leave. I'd like to talk with you more about this at your leisure when we have more time. This isn't a joke. If I never saw him again, it would be too soon. Ooishi-san followed his subordinate and left the lounge behind him. However, he spun back around. Alright, Mayabara-san. What is it? Those 2 questions I asked you before? You don't remember well enough to answer either of them, correct? Right. Just so you know, you saw them all yesterday. You were walking along, the 4 of you, having quite a pleasant time, near the stone steps. I saw you with my own eyes. I caught my breath and my heart seemed like it was about to stop. What a detestable person. He knew, and he was testing me. We'll meet again. Have a good year. Why does he say that? Is that like his catchphrase or something? I sat there like a rock, unmoving, until I could no longer hear the clacking sounds of their footsteps. So I got up and I got more ice. Crunch, crunch, crunch. I went to the supermarket and I bought a whole bag of ice. And I just swallowed it in one gulp. I fucking died. Alright, let's read a bit more. I was on my way back home. The cries of the Higurashi accentuated the already lonely evening. My mouth was cold from all the ice I had swallowed. More time had passed than I thought. The orange of the dusty sky was being chased down, little by little, by an indigo color approaching from the east. You can tell that I'm fucking laughing at my own fucking bit with the ice. Exhausted from the slow climb towards Hinamizawa, without even noticing, I'd gotten off my bicycle and was pushing it uphill. Car? I don't understand any of this. No one had told me to my face that I'd done something wrong. I keep on wanting to make ice jokes, but I shouldn't keep going. I need to be sparing with this bit. Christ. No. I'm so sorry. In fact, it might have been much easier on me that way. What happened yesterday really was just my curiosity. This is supposed to be a creepy visual novel, and I'm just laughing about the one ice of him just swallowing a cup. The one line, not the one ice. Fuck. Okay. Whew. It really was no more than a quiet prank. No more than having the courage to cross at a red light as long as you did it with other people. The storehouse for ritual implements. Hollowed ground, only accessible to the family of the priest. I froze it shut with liquid nitrogen. I'm gonna fucking take a break. I need to get over this. Okay, I should be fine now. I just took a nice little drink of ice cold water. Alright. For sure, I'd seen terrifying things that I'd never imagined would be there. Thinking on it now, though, it didn't matter what was stored away inside. It didn't make the wrong I had committed any more right. What the 4 of us did, Mion seemed to know about it. For some reason, even the police were trying to learn what the 4 of us did. Did we do something so bad? Really? It doesn't matter how wrong it was. I did something wrong. It was nothing more than that, and yet, I couldn't accept it. I didn't apologize to Mion or Ooishi-san. All I did was shield myself with ambiguities. God, my throat is worse when I drink water. It's weird. I did something wrong yesterday. I set foot into a forbidden storehouse for a little bit of mischief. I'll forget everything I saw in there. Yeah, eventually. I won't ever do something like that again, either. I'm sorry. If I apologize like that, would they forgive me? Yeah. The suddenly cool evening air left no room for such sentiment. Sentient, great. However, as it mercilessly chilled my feet like I'm walking on ice, urging me to head home as soon as possible. In the end, the evening air was correct. If I trudged along such an isolated road, regrets would pile on top of regrets, but nothing would change. Let's go home. I'll go home, go to my room, put on my favorite music or something, and go to bed. Ice, ice, baby. That might sound plain and boring, but it's probably the strongest I felt all day. Now that I've made a decision, there's no point in dawdling in a place like this. I sat back on my bike. I pushed hard on the pedals. I rapidly advanced forward. I steadily gained speed. The wind was cutting and mercilessly cold, like ice, but it actually felt good, as if it were softly punishing me. Alright. I didn't eat much dinner before excusing myself early and returning to my bedroom. My mom called me from downstairs. Keiichi, you have a call. It's from Sonosaki-san. Sonosaki? Was it Mion? No, it was Shion. I just remembered. She'd had something she wanted to tell me today. Ooishi-san had interrupted us, so she didn't get the chance. Shion had said she'd call tonight. Hello? Is that you, Shion?
Hello. Ran into a bit of trouble today, didn't we?
She said it so plainly that I got a bit annoyed. She was the one who left me there and ran.
Don't say that. I gave you the signal to run away with me, didn't I? You just sat there looking dazed, Kei-chan.
I wasn't dazed. All of a sudden you left me there. And after that, I had to put up with that Ooishi guy for ages.
Don't complain to me about it.
I can't believe she passed it off like that. She looks just like Mion, and yet inside she's this different? I got a little irritated at myself when I realized I was, somewhere in my mind, hoping for the same reaction I would get from Mion, even though she's a different person. Sorry. Next time I'll run away first thing and leave you there.
Hey, it's ladies first.
Then I'll cross-dress! Shion laughed refreshingly. When I heard her voice, I realized that she wasn't really that angry or anything. It was just as she said. The cause of my temper was because it was my own fault for not leaving immediately. I'll stop blaming it on others. Blaming it on others would be... Anyway, you had something to tell me, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you already know, then it's not something that bears repeating. Do you already know?
Shion lowered her voice suddenly, as if she were glancing around. I had no idea what I could already know. Sorry, but I have no clue what you're talking about. At least give me a hint.
So that means you don't know.
She seemed to take my stupid-sounding question as evidence. However, her voice didn't sound disappointed or exasperated in the slightest.
Actually, it's about last night, during the Watanagashi festival.
My entire body jolted as I was assailed by a terrible feeling. Is Shion going to ask the same thing? Well, she fucking wouldn't. She was with you, dude.
Hello? Kei-chan, are you listening?
Yeah. I am. What about last night?
The four of us went in there, right?
She didn't beat around the bush. Whether or not I wanted to admit it, that was the actual, honest truth, and I couldn't act like it hadn't happened.
Then, after that, we walked away together. And then went our separate ways near the stone stairs, right? Takano-san and Tomitake-san went to the stream, and you stayed there, Kei-chan. I went over to see some relatives.
Yeah? Why do you ask?
We won't make any progress if we keep asking each other questions, so let me ask this question first. Okay?
You mean, did I see Tomitake-san and Takano-san last night?
Huh? Oh, yes. Did you see the two of them after that?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. This is the third time I've been asked this question today. Why? Why? What the hell is going on? Why? Why are you asking me that?
No, Kei-chan. I'm asking the question. Please answer me.
Did you, Shion? If you answer first, then I'll answer. My shabby response betrayed how scared and small I felt now, after everything that had happened today. Shion didn't say anything for a few moments. Just as I was beginning to think I'd really put my foot in my mouth with that response, she finally answered me.
Of course I didn't see them. My relatives were with me and they can vouch for that.
You're describing that like you're trying to queer yourself in Among Us. Just like... Someone reports the body. Shion and Keiichi. Yeah, Ooishi reports the bodies. They're dead in reactor. I saw Keiichi and Shion with them last. Where were you guys?
I was with my relatives and weapons. They can vouch for that.
Okay, what about you, Keiichi? Stop asking me that question! I didn't see them either. People can vouch for me too, like Mion, Rena, and everyone else. Then it must have been Satoko, the one who's missing. We got our culprit, throw her out.
No, wait, it's not me, I am medbay.
Now that we knew our answers matched, she let out a sigh that sounded more relieved than anything else.
Thank you for answering me honestly. Okay then, I'll tell you. Gone, reduced to atoms. Apparently last night, Takano-san and Tomitake-san died.
Sorry, Shion? What was that you just said?
Apparently last night, Takano-san and Tomitake-san died. Takano-san was found burned to death. Tomitake-san was... well, it looked like a suicide. I found out this morning. I heard my dad talking to a relative on the phone about it.
Late last night, a police car on its way back from the festival security duty had discovered Tomitake-san lying in the middle of the road heading towards Okinomiya. He had clawed out his throat and died. Who would have thought? What? He clawed out his own throat? That bright, cheerful Tomitake-san committed suicide? That can't possibly be right.
The police did an autopsy. He did it with his own fingernails. He scratched at his throat so hard that he ruptured his blood vessels and bled out. He died in a pool of his own blood. That's what they said.
I've never heard of such an insane suicide. You can't just scratch open your own throat like that. I realized I was yelling too loudly, so I lowered the force I was putting into my voice. I didn't want my parents to hear me, so I switched to the cordless phone and ran up to my own room. Sorry for yelling. So, was Takano-san... was that a suicide too?
In her case, it's a little unclear.
Takano-san's body was found in the mountains of Gifu Prefecture. Employees at a rest stop nearby reported to the police late that night that they could see flames in the mountains. The firefighters dispatched there were the first ones to find her. An autopsy concluded that it was the burned corpse of a half-naked female. They initially considered the body beyond recognition, but directly after, there was a request for a dental comparison from the But Perfectional Police Station in Okinomiya, and the results concluded that it was Mio Takano. The cause of death wasn't confirmed, but it was highly likely to have been a homicide, since she was in her undergarments, and her clothes were nowhere in the area.
The oil drum had fallen over, so it's also possible she burned herself to death.
It couldn't have possibly been suicide. If you're going to die, there are plenty of easier ways, aren't there? This can't be suicide.
That's what I think. It's unthinkable that Tomitake-san would kill himself too.
After the two of us rattled on at each other, there was a silence as we paused to catch our breaths. And as we calmed our nerves, right then I understood what Shion's story actually meant.
I think it'll end up being Oyashiro-sama's curse. We all did more than enough to deserve it after all.
Deserve? You've got to be kidding! It's not like Shion wanted to see it with me. I just went along with her. I tried to say that, but I fell silent. Nothing would come of me blaming others. It didn't matter how much everyone else encouraged me. I could have put my foot down. I lost my own half-assed sense of adventure and agreed to go in with them. Yes, it was my fault and no one else's. Shion, last night when we snuck into the ritual storehouse, did you predict things would turn out this way?
Of course not. I mean, I thought it was pretty risky, but I never even dreamed something like this could happen.
Shion's words were probably her true feelings. She knew she could get in trouble if we were caught, but that was the thrill of this little adventure. It was the same for me.
Besides that, Kei-chan, think about it for a moment. Didn't Oyashiro-sama's curse turn out a little strange this year?
It was already plenty strange, seeing as how Tomitake-san and Takano-san died like that. Given all that, what could possibly be stranger?
I mean that they found 2 corpses. Remember what I said? Every other year, 1 person would die, and 1 person would disappear. This year is the first time 2 people have been found dead.
That may be true, but that's not a huge deal, is it?
It is, Kei-chan. Think about it harder. Listen, if 2 people died because of Oyashiro-sama's curse, then in order to quell Oyashiro-sama's anger, 2 people would need to be sacrificed.
Is that how it works? So what? Tomitake-san and Takano-san died, so now 2 people are going to go missing this year? I don't understand why, but when I said that, I felt my spine freeze.
I don't think anyone's been confirmed missing yet. I think that those 2 people have yet to disappear.
Shion, like me, was obviously getting the same feeling crawling down her back. 2 people have yet to disappear? Shion didn't answer. I couldn't say any more than that either. A chill crept in through my clothes and tried to wrap into a fist around my heart. Cold hands, like ice, feeling about on my chest. Neither of us could say anything. Tomitake-san opened the lock, and he died. Takano-san exposed the ritual storehouse, and she died. If 2 more people were to be sacrificed, then they would be none other than the ones who entered with them. None other than us. No. This has got to be a joke. I wanted so much for her to pass this off as a joke, even now. That, though, was such an incredibly difficult and selfish request. If Tomitake-san and Takano-san had died in a common way like a car accident, I could tell myself it was coincidence. Instead, he clawed out his own throat, and she burned to death, drowned in oil, in the mountains. The 2 deaths were so out of the ordinary that I couldn't possibly dismiss it as mere coincidence. It was as if, in exchange for sneaking into the ritual storehouse, there must be someone punishing us. Some sort of cruel will working behind the scenes. Even so, I still didn't want to accept that terrifying truth. If I did, then I would have to acknowledge that a horrible crisis was growing near for Shion and I. That's why I argued against it. I argued, knowing I was running away. In the first place, it's not even in the newspaper, is it? Such a monstrous incident would be all over the newspapers and television. Magazine writers would flood the village too, thinking it'd make for an interesting story.
Of course it's not getting reported by the media. That's how it was in the past too.
When the incidents occurred for the 3rd year in a row, there were some third-rate magazines that sniffed out the story and ran issues full of gossip columns about Hinamizawa. Fearing that the region would develop a negative stigma, they negotiated with the prefecture and the police. Since last year, it became a big conspiracy, where no information about the incidents was allowed to be leaked to the media.
I hear the elders and the top brass from the Sonozaki family put all the pressure they could on the police.
Then you mean their deaths are going to be dealt with in total secrecy?
That's how it is. Of course, the police are investigating it. That's being performed in secret too, though. So I hear the investigation itself is very restricted in what it can and can't do. You could essentially say they're interfering with a police investigation.
The story was unbelievable. People died, and yet they don't publicize it and deal with everything in secret.
If we break it down further, it means that no matter who dies on the night of Watanagashi, it won't go public.
That's the biggest pile of bullshit I've ever heard.
Kei-chan, before I said how the villagers could be the ones carrying out Oyashiro-sama's curse. That's what I mean. At some point, a tradition was created here in Hinamizawa, where every year you're allowed to kill someone on the night of Watanagashi under the guise of it being Oyashiro-sama's curse.
Oh, okay, When someone dies on the night of Watanagashi, it turns into the curse of Oyashiro-sama. The curse turns into the serial murder incidents. In order to avoid exacerbating the negative stigma surrounding Hinamizawa, those incidents are dealt with in secret. That's insane! Dead and missing people turn up every year. However bad the stigma gets, the police have to draw the line somewhere, don't they?
You could say the incidents happening every year is mysterious, but the police can get the job done when they need to. After all, the incidents always get resolved individually. It doesn't end up being a string of incidents, you know? It just so happens that something unfortunate happens on the night of Watanagashi every year. That's all it turns into.
Most of the criminals responsible for the original dismemberment were arrested. The last one managed to get and stay away, but the events were totally exposed and elucidated, so it was, in essence, resolved. The damn supporting couple who died in an accident on the second year, that was an accidental death, plain and simple. They made a lot of investigations into the possibility of it having been a homicide, but they didn't turn up anything. It ended up as an accident. It was resolved. On the third year, the priest fell ill and passed away. There were doctors present at the hospital at his deathbed, and they all had trustworthy medical certificates. They even did an autopsy. It concluded that it wasn't a homicide. That was resolved too. On the fourth year, the sister-in-law of the damn supporting couple was murdered. The criminal was an abnormal man with a history of regular psychostimulant usage. Yeah, sure he was. He confessed that he thought Oyashiro-sama's curse was so interesting he wanted to try it out. The criminal died of an accident while imprisoned, so this incident was essentially resolved as well. That's right. None of the incidents had any relation to another, and each was independently resolved.
So then, why does an unfortunate coincidence occur every year on the night of the Watanagashi? You can try and say it's a string of related incidents, but they're not related. Yet every year, someone always dies and someone always disappears.
The story Takano-san told me on the day before during the setup. Now that the curse really had occurred this year, I couldn't just laugh it off. Then, does that mean it'll come for us too? Just like how one person dies and one disappears every year, are you saying we'll be taken along with Tomitake-san and Takano-san in a race too? My lips had, at some point, become completely dry, and just saying that was difficult. Shion didn't respond. Her silence, however, was the clearest form of confirmation she could give me. Sure, we went somewhere we shouldn't have, but we were just looking, right? We didn't steal anything or take anything out, and we didn't tell anyone that we looked, right? I was already regretting having committed such a wrong. Even so, was it really so bad that Tomitake-san and Takano-san deserved such cruel deaths? Besides, I didn't care about anything I saw in there at all. Takano-san was the only one getting so happy over it, wasn't she? Takano-san was the only one at fault. I don't have anything to do with this. I'm not interested. I'm not involved. I don't give a shit about what was in there. I knew saying so wouldn't solve anything. I could feel myself, my cold self like ice, in the innermost depths of my heart, disgusted at my pointless howling. However, my emotions had broken through the dam, and I couldn't stop them anymore. I didn't have any interest in any of this from the start, damn it! All I wanted to do was watch Rika-chan's performance. You were the one who pulled me away from that, weren't you, Shion? I don't give a rat's ass whether those two were trying to steal something, or try to meet up secretly, or whatever. That's right, you were the one who made me go in there in the first place, Shion. You were all, Kei-chan, you need to see what's inside, and you convinced me and then pulled me in. Why the hell did you do that? I didn't have anything to do with this. What will you do? What are you going to do, damn it? How are you going to take responsibility for this? Huh? Hey, are you listening? Click. Without any warning, the phone cut off with the soft sound of a receiver being slammed down. Shion was just as terrified as I was. I just said some really self-centered things. My riled up emotions disappeared as if they never existed, and in their place surged waves of deep regret at having run my mouth so irresponsibly. I could try to call out Shion's name from behind the disconnected phone, but it was too late. What have I done? Shion was only trying to tell me as much as she could about this thing about to descend upon us. As for me, I could only whine like a child about it. I went to call her back, but then remembered she lived in Okinomiya. I didn't know her phone number. Since I had declared to Mion that I hadn't seen Shion last night, I couldn't just call Mion and ask her for Shion's phone number. I was too scared. I couldn't even call her back. I was stricken with hopeless regret. I returned the receiver to its stand, and I simply prayed that Shion would call me back again. Please, Shion. Calm down and call me again. Ring, 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 ring. Hello, this is Mayabara. I swept up the receiver as though it wouldn't go as though it wouldn't go through if I didn't grab it at that exact moment. Is this a Mayabara residence? Excuse me for the late call. I'm Kimiyoshi, whoever you are. Is this the head of the household? Oh, it's a female, okay. It was the voice of a girl who clearly wasn't Shion. All my hopes rushed out of me. No, it isn't. If you need Dad, I'll go call him. I went to put the receiver back down, but the caller stopped me hurriedly.
Oh, no. If he's busy, then it's fine. This may be a strange question, but is my old man paying you a visit?
No. Nobody's here at the moment.
I see. Again, I apologize for calling you so late at night. Goodbye.
Quack. I don't know who that was, but what if Shion tried to call while I was on the phone? I thought, bubbling with egotistic anger. Hey, wait. Give it a break, Keiichi Maibara. These are the selfish emotions that made Shion mad at me, aren't they? The more I thought about it, though, the more I thought that Shion had given up hope in the short time since we had our conversation, and didn't want to call anymore. Calm yourself, Keiichi Maibara. If Shion does call again, then first, apologize in a calm voice. If you do that, then Shion should understand. However, no matter how long I waited, the phone didn't ring again that night. I actually do sort of remember this part from the anime, come to think of it. I remember something about him yelling at Shion because both of them were supposed to disappear or something. Like, very faintly, I remember something like that happening. Oh my fucking god! Tips. Whatever, let's read them. Achievement unlocked, close calls. Cool, I think I've gotten an achievement like every episode now. Jeez. Alright, from the scrapbook 6. Should be short like the other ones. Takano, you dead. How are you writing? The significance of Watanagashi. Watanagashi, a festival of hunting for sacrifices and feasting on them. While the festival itself is remarkable, it has come to be considered a form of entertainment as well. Perhaps it was because of the disparity between being both an egregious act and a form of entertainment that the perpetrators began to believe themselves transcendent. However, I found some very interesting literature that appears to raise questions about that explanation. As with most oral traditions, it's not easily swallowed, but it does mention a few things that spark my interest. According to this literature, even the residents of Onigafuchi village felt fear towards this ritual. Women and children would grow pale and tremble, and those of weak constitution would vomit, but it's said that the feast, the dissection, was an obligatory viewing. This is an extremely curious tale. Until now, I'd thought that the residents of Onigafuchi village were fascinated by the Watanagashi ritual. They looked down on those vulgar, barbaric humans, cut them open like fish, and by eating them, they reaffirmed their own holiness. At least, that's what I thought. However, if what the villagers gained from this ritual was not satisfaction, but fear, then that would suggest the ritual meant something entirely different. There's the possibility that the executions were meant as warnings, encouraging the villagers to strictly follow religious precepts created by those with power for their own convenience. Onigafuchi village has been effectively ruled over by 3 old families called the Three Families. Without investigating the 3 families, I probably won't get any closer to the truth of Onigafuchi village. What are these 3 families? Sonozaki's probably one. Furude's probably another. So then, what's the third? Alright, it's from the scrapbook 7. Oh, whoa. The 3 families, hey! The 3 families refers to the 3 old families who effectively came to rule in Onigafuchi village. To break it down, okay, there was the Kimiyoshi family, the Furude family, and the Sonozaki family, and each of them still exists today. Though they don't have as much control as they did in the remote past, they still hold considerable influence today. The 3 families are considered by legend to be those in whom the blood of the swamp demons runs the thickest. The Kimiyoshi family, who we know no one from. The Kimiyoshi family appears to have held great power as the head of the 3 families, but it doesn't have that kind of leadership today. The current mayor of the village, Yoshichiro Kimiyoshi, is from this family. The fact that members of the Kimiyoshi family are elected as mayor every generation is thought to be a remnant of the old system. Okay. Of course, as no rival candidates appear, it doesn't change the fact that the Kimiyoshi family holds the mayoral office, even through popular elections in the post-war era. The Furude family. The center of the village's faith since ancient times, the Furude clan has guarded the sole shrine dedicated to Oyashiro-sama. They were worshipped as the only people to represent the voice of Oyashiro-sama for a long time, but the family branched off after the war and lost most of its power, It now consists of only the main house. The main house as well presently consists of only one daughter, Rika Furude, so the lineage may end in this generation. There is apparently an old tradition of honoring females of the Furude family, so the only daughter, Rika, is the subject of much respect among the elderly of the village. The Sonozaki family. It's said that this family had a certain police-like role of protecting the religious precepts of Onigafuchi village. Of the three families, their relatively weak position can be seen from me putting them here last. Of course, today, the Sonozaki family is flourishing, and the state of affairs among the three families has completely reversed. Even now, one could say that they are in control of Hinamizawa. The three families conferring with each other is similar to the old way. The current head of the Sonozaki family, Oryo, essentially decides all of the goings-on in the village by herself. That must be Mion and Shion's crazy grandmother, from what I remember. Like that short little gremlin with gray hair. Alright, late night phone call. What's going on? Are we going to the police station, or are we... Okay, we're just seeing a phone call. Oh. Okay.
Excuse me for the late call. I'm Kimiyoshi. Is this the head of the household? Yes? No, not at all. Thank you very much for that. Yes. Well, you see, I do apologize for calling at this hour, but I was wondering if our old man was visiting you at the moment. You've got that right. Yes. Once again, I'm very sorry for calling so late. Goodbye.
Click. Woman.
So, no good? I'm not sure what to do. He may be passionate about it, but he always at least gives us a call. You called everyone he plays Go with, didn't you?
Bring.
Hello, this is Kimiyoshi.
Mion.
This is Sonozaki. How did it go? Have you found the mayor? Oh, Mion-chan. I called everyone I could think of, but I came up with nothing. We can't find him. What do I do?
Oh, so that mayor dude, Yoshichiro, is missing?
Where could he be idling about? I put a word in with a bunch of people who might have had an idea, but nobody did. I asked Nana about it, and she said we should get the men of the village together to search for him. At this hour? I mean, it's not like he's definitely gone missing. Watanagashi just happened. She thinks we should be a little more cautious. If we still can't find him, then we'll notify the police tomorrow morning. Whether or not we find him, though, we should refrain from making any false accusations. Oryo-san said that? Yes. If you can't trust her without hearing her voice, then I can put her on for you. No, that's fine. I understand. We'll get the men together and search. If we still can't find him, then we will notify the police in the morning. She'll leave it to you to organize the men. I'll be there as well, as Nana's representative. Thank you. I'll get everyone together immediately. Thanks. I'll talk to you later.
Interesting. That was a weird tip. So there is somebody missing, huh? Was this set in the original anime? Because that's an interesting thing. A very interesting little factoid. Alright, well that's gonna be it for this episode then, guys. We have a new bit! Yeah, well two even. Ooishi-san and Keiichi is obsessed with ice. Chomping on ice cubes. What a good one. That's gonna be it for this episode then, guys. If you liked it, then be sure to press the like button. And if you didn't like it, then fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!